Judge, our live stream has started.
All right. Let's see. We lost Mr. Jones. He's wandered off. There he is. All right, it's 5 o'clock. Call to order the Cracken County Fiscal Court meeting, January 25, 2021, 5 p.m. via video teleconference. And Madam Clerk, could you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Jones. Commissioner Jones.
Sorry, I'm here. I was muted.
Commissioner Parker.
I'm here.
Commissioner Bartleman.
Here.
And Judge Connor.
Here. Commissioner Bartleman, you offer our prayer, please.
Well, Father, we just thank you for the blessings of this day. We ask you to be with us as we conduct the business of this county, that we make decisions that are good for the citizens and good in your light. Father, we pray for all those suffering from COVID, for all the first responders who are dealing with those. We just pray that we get a quick resolution and that we find ways to get people vaccinated so we can get back to somewhat of normal. We pray for our first responders as they protect the safety of this county. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Yeah. Then stand and join me in the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America,
to
the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, and then consent agenda.
It is ordered to approve the consent agenda for the January 25th, 2021 McCracken County Fiscal Court.
So made.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That carries. Budget transfers.
It is ordered that the necessary cash transfers in the amount of $20,000 be made in order to pay county bills and payroll approved January 25th, 2021.
So made.
Motion second, any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That carries. Accounts payable.
It is ordered to approve the vouchers claims register from January 11th, 2021 to January 25th, 2021 to show county bills in the amount of $271,397.71 were paid.
So made.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That carries. Under discussion, we've got Bruce Wilcox from Greater Paducah Economic Development Council here to give us a little update. Hello, Bruce.
Good evening. How is everyone?
We're doing good. Appreciate you joining us.
Yes, sir. Are you ready for me now, or am I a little bit later in the program?
Well, I think we got you on the executive session as well as on here for now.
Okay.
Hopefully it won't be too long before we get into executive session. I don't see too much we're taking up.
Okay. I'm prepared for both. I was talking with our Deputy Judge Executive Doolittle, and I were emailing back and forth, and I guess we realized that I had not done as much public presentation lately, and we thought it might be beneficial to kind of go over some things with that this evening. So I have a presentation prepared to go over publicly, and then one for you in executive session as well. So if I may share my screen, I've got a PowerPoint that I'll pull up for you.
You should be able to share.
Okay. Can you all see that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right. First and foremost, I want to thank you all for allowing GPED to present at this evening's fiscal court meeting. We greatly appreciate McCracken County Fiscal Court and your partnership with us. Without you, we would not be able to do the work that we do. That being said, when Steve and I were communicating, it's probably been a few months since we've actually done an update with the McCracken County Fiscal Court. So I'm not exactly sure what all has been shared and what hasn't been shared with you. I know individually we've gone over a lot of things, but this evening I thought I might go over some of 2020's accomplishments very quickly with you so the public would be aware of those. During the year 2020, we updated our triple rail site wetland delineation work. And there were some sites identified in there that we thought we might need to address. And we worked with the Bacon Farmer Workmen and the Army Corps of Engineers, and we were able to get those areas addressed. And fortunately for us, most all of the areas of concern were non-jurisdictional, and there was not anything else for us to do with the areas that we were looking at. So some nice work there getting that wetland delineation work updated.
Bruce, what do you mean by non-jurisdictional? What do you mean by that?
Non-jurisdictional is if, for lack of better words, Commissioner Bartleman, if they're not permanent streams or permanent waterways, they're not jurisdictional in that wetland mitigation doesn't apply to them. The areas that we were talking about out there, they were attached to ephemeral streams. So what that meant was it only had water flowing through them like on days like today when it's raining a lot outside. When it's dry outside, there's nothing there. It's kind of like a temporary issue. So fortunately for us, we were looking at a price tag of upwards of about $600,000 if we were to try to swap those acreage out in a set-aside program. So again, thankfully for us, we did not have to do that.
Did that assessment include the neighboring land too? That's all part of that?
No, it was just primary, the 417 acres there on the main parcel.
Okay, it's what we own. You own.
Yes.
Owns, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The three of us with P&L, the county, and GPED.
Okay.
Last year, we secured options and brokerage agreements on the land, the main piece of property there that we're talking about. That's the acreage that's owned by P&L Rail and McCracken County's piece there that's kind of in the center portion of where GPED is. And then we also updated our phase 1 assessments out at the triple rail site. So most any site selector would tell you all of this work and things that you can have done in advance, they're just a check mark on the right side as being able to expedite things and get things processed quicker. As far as Industrial Park West goes, you all will recall there was some discussion on getting that land cleaned and cleared. We actually got that completed back in the spring, I believe it was. We also had new signage installed out at Industrial Park West, and a big thank you to McCracken County Fiscal Court in allowing us to use the TVA in lieu of tax monies or the RDAP monies to finish the project up on that. We had $15,000 in grants or investments or donations, if you will, from Paducah Power, Big Rivers Electric, and Jackson Purchase Energy. And then McCracken County pitched in a little bit with our RDAP monies to wrap that project up. But we have two very nice signs out at Industrial Park West now. Additionally, in conjunction with the new water tower that's supposed to be installed sometime the first quarter of this year, or to be started anyway, we had part of Industrial Park West rezoned as light industrial from residential. And then, of course, you all are aware, we coordinated the sale of the Genova building to Plastic Services and Products. A third asset that we addressed this past year was with 401 Kentucky Avenue. There was about $33,000 of roof repairs that we needed to do there in conjunction with getting that building available and ready to rent to Kaleo. and I've got some more information on that here momentarily. Also, last year, we updated a lot of our maps, our marketing materials, our websites, our signage, etc. Kind of beefed up our marketing materials, and with the big thing there being an updated website. So we've gotten a lot of nice comments and positive feedback regarding our website. So if you all haven't checked it out, in the public, I would encourage you to take a look. It's www.epaducah.com. And of course, since my being here at GPED, one of the things that I see great value with is increased engagement with the Paducah-McCracken County Riverport. I believe the foreign trade zone designation there and the ability to do subzones off of the Riverport will prove to be an asset with us. So I attend their meetings monthly as well. And then, of course, we've restructured the Paducah-McCracken County Industrial Development Authority. And I've got more information on that here in just a few minutes. We had 3 big wins last year. Those wins amounted to 205 jobs that were announced. The biggest one was plastic services and products. We call that one a triple play because we were able to announce 80 jobs immediately with the intention of plastic services and products, intention to hire back up to the 125 jobs that Genova vacated a little over a year ago. We also negotiated and coordinated the sale of that building to Plastic Services and Products, which netted approximately $2.3 million to the city and the county. And again, that opportunity was financed locally. We were able to submit the financing opportunity out to our partner financial institutions, and one of our local financial institutions won the financing on that project. The second nice project or announcement that we had during 2020 was Kaleo. And again, this was a triple play in that we were able to announce 65 jobs. We actually leased 401 Kentucky Avenue, which had been vacant for some time, and we restructured the debt related to the building such that at the end of the Kaleo lease, commensurate with the end of that, the building will be debt-free in 5 years. So that was a good win for GPED and the community as well. National Rail, we announced 15 new jobs. It's about $1 million in capital investment, and they were relocating some jobs from Hagerstown, Maryland there. So very appreciative of National Rail choosing to pull those jobs back here. We partner with Murray State University, and they have software called M-Plan, I-M-P-L-A-N, which allows you to determine what's the economic benefit of having X number of jobs in your community. In other words, those dollars that are earned or spent in your community, when they're turned or churned within the economy, they create a greater value. So the actual 205 jobs that we announced actually impact 287 families or support 287 families within our community. And it has a recurring economic impact to our community of almost $23 million a year. So all in all, COVID considered and everything, I think GPED, we had a great year last year. Most recently, one of the things that we've spent a lot of time on, and I know we've worked with Judge Clymer, Commissioner Jones, and different ones from the city as well, restructuring the Industrial Development Authority. And got the slide title, It's a New Day for the IDA. And last week I was having lunch with, I have to give Jonas Niehoff credit for this statement, but I think it really fits well with the work that was done in restructuring the Industrial Development Authority. And Jonas had mentioned that unity is the byproduct of vision and a common goal. And that's exactly what we did when the city, the IDA, GPED, and the county came together to do that. So I've got a few slides on some of the IDA restructuring. The IDA is actually governed by the Kentucky Revised Statutes, and you can see that there. So a lot of the structuring and the way it works, it's designated by statute and by law. So we work closely with our law firm and making sure that the bylaws were drafted and done properly. But again, the purpose was to better align GPED, IDA, and the city and the county to make sure that we had a common goal and that we all knew what our roles and responsibilities are. And in those bylaws, it references the Industrial Development Authority as the property owner and GPED as the manager or the marketer of those publicly owned properties for economic development purposes. The board structure is a little bit different than the current board. Right now, the board of directors consists of 8 members, of which the judge executive and the mayor of the city of Paducah are both members. However, they are ex officio members. They're non-voting members at this time. With the new board and the new bylaws that will be forthcoming, the judge executive and the mayor will actually be voting members. So the mayor and the judge will be members on the board of directors. There will be 2 members from GPED and 3 others chosen at large by the mayor and the judge. So a total of 7 members going forward. There's also an attendance requirement. It requires the board of directors, if you miss more than 1/3 of the meetings, we need to make a change. So like with GPED, the plan and the intention is to have actively engaged IDA board members. And of course, GPED is to provide administrative support and guidance for the IDA. There was a new interlocal agreement that was created, and the purpose of the interlocal agreement was to clearly define the roles. And again, better align GPED, IDA, the city and the county. When you look at surrounding counties or other communities, how they're structured, these 4 entities or agencies within the communities, they're almost seamless. And that's what seemed to be working best for other communities. And that was our ultimate goal here with restructuring the IDA. So again, the parties to the interlocal agreement, GPED, IDA, the city of Paducah, and McCracken County. In that interlocal agreement, it designates GPED as the manager, the marketer, and the administrative agent within that partnership. It references the Industrial Development Authority as the property owner, the developer, and the maintenance, the maintainer of those publicly owned properties. And then the city and the county, again, it provides them actual voting representation that they did not have in the past. And it enables the mayor, the judge executive, the commissioners from both city and the county the opportunity to provide advice and input. And then, of course, it also provides a revenue stream for the Industrial Development Authority. The IDA, once all of this is completed, they will have substantial assets, and then they'll have some liabilities that go with it. The goal is to actually this month, starting the month of January, certainly by the end of the first quarter, to have the assets transferred and the related debt transferred over to the IDA. From those assets that will be transferred, the IDA will obtain a revenue stream from the transferred assets. That's primarily through farm lease rental income and property rental income, as well as the county's commitment to contribute it's about $155,000 of TVA in lieu of tax money or RDAP monies that the county will be contributing to the IDA that's specified for economic development purposes. And then the city will also be matching that as well. And then, of course, the city and the county will be forgiving the debt that's on those assets that's transferred over to the IDA. This was not an agreement that was done with a short-term intention. It was set for 10 years. So I think we're positioned really well to do some real nice projects going forward. The third item that came out of the restructuring was a service agreement between GPED and the IDA. And again, this service agreement defines the roles and responsibility of each organization. Long story short, the staffing, the management, the administrative services, marketing functions, those are all to be provided by GPED to the IDA. And of course, those are being done to the IDA at zero cost because as part of the city and the county service agreement with GPED, it references GPED providing these services to the IDA. So all in all, it's some really nice work that's been done amongst all 4 organizations. And I'm very appreciative and very thankful for how well all of these organizations came together and worked together. As we've been talking about our publicly owned properties, during the month of late November, early December, we actually had a site selector come on site. It was called the Site Selection Group, and they actually did a review of our triple rail site. We did a mock presentation on our site, and kind of similar to what we do with other site selector presentations. And we got some good feedback on that study that they did. At the end of the day, when they were looking at the triple rail site, the strengths that they identified, they're inherently the strengths that we know and that we promote day in and day out. The mere location of the site itself, the logistical advantages, and all of the advanced due diligence that's been done on the site proves to be great strengths for the site and provide great opportunity. They did identify what they consider to be a significant challenge, that being the road infrastructure. We've all talked for many years the need to get a road from out to the triple rail site that would accommodate heavy industrial traffic. And we've worked with the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet, and there's actually been a road design. There's a temporary construction road that's already designed, and then there's a permanent road that actually connects into Commerce Drive in our Industrial Park West and runs adjacent to the railroad line out there. But again, they were saying if that road was in place ahead of time, that would certainly be an advantage to us. So going forward, I would certainly appreciate our being able to lobby or promote, seek whatever funds or opportunities we have to get that road in process. They also identified a few challenges with the utility extensions, primarily sewer. The sewer it's not all the way out to the site. One of the reasons it's not out there at this point is if we land an employer that employs 100 people, it requires a different infrastructure as to 10,000 people. So depending upon the project that we will land out there will determine what type of utility extensions there are. But we already have gas, electric, water. Those utilities are already out there. But anyway, some real nice feedback on that. They were very complimentary on our overall presentation and the information that we had. Move on into some projects updates now for you, and this will be at a very, very high level, and I will go over many of the projects in detail with you during executive session. But when we look at our active projects right now, we have 11 projects that I consider to be active. In the last 90 days, we've had 2 new projects come on board. We have 4 projects that I would consider cool. We have 4 projects that are warm, and then we've got 1 project that is hot. And we're hopeful to be able to make an announcement on that hot project. I'm hopeful within the next 30 to 45 days. So, I think last time we did a presentation, this total project number might have been upwards of 20, maybe 21 right now. We still have those projects on the books. But what we saw in the second half of last year with COVID, projects tended to slow down. Some projects got paused. We've had a few cancel. So, but anyway, we still keep those projects on our books. But for presentation purposes tonight in executive session, I'll just be focusing on the active projects. So that being said, that's what I have prepared, and I would entertain any questions that you might have now.
So Bruce, in the site selection group did they only look at the one site, the triple rail site?
Yes, we actually, Commissioner Jones, how that came about was we participated in the Kentucky PDI program. It's called the Product Development Initiative Program. And every year except this year because of COVID and lack of funds, the state of Kentucky puts a pot of money out there. And if your project is chosen, and the reason that you submit to participate is one of the finalists based upon the site selectors criteria, then you obtain monies that you're able to put into your project to make it marketable. So what we did was when we updated the wetland delineation work out at the Triple Rail site, the legislation was not finalized on whether the streams were jurisdictional or non-jurisdictional. So we went ahead and we submitted those areas out there as part of this product development initiative program. The site itself garnered interest from the site selector. And thankfully, by the time the site selector got here, we had already addressed the non-jurisdictional issues. So the grant monies that we would have asked for or needed, they won't be needed anymore because of the non-jurisdictional ruling. But it was focused only on the Triple Rail site.
I
Were
guess,
those grant funds specifically for environmental, or could they be used for sewer later on?
I suppose they could be used for sewer. There was some question once we got the report back from them of whether they would have qualified those funds for set aside acreage. There's not a tremendous amount of money that they make available. It might have been 300 or 500,000 in the past that's split up amongst the whole state. You know, and when you look at the cost of increased utility structure out there, you're talking couple million dollars.
Okay.
So it absolutely it could qualify if you could do that, but I think other revenue sources like Delta Regional Authority and other places like that might be better options.
Thank you.
so the new IDA hasn't met yet.
No, we finalized those documents. I think the city and the county voted on all of the changes around December 15th. From that point, the documents had to be sent to the Kentucky Attorney General. And we actually just got those documents back last week or late the week before that. So we are assembling an IDA meeting this Wednesday. We have some property that we need to address that I'll talk to you about in executive session. But the purpose of that IDA meeting will be to address the property issue that we would like IDA approval on. But the next step is for the existing members of the IDA board to resign, and then the new members be appointed, if you will. And the existing chairman of the board is Bob Johnson, and Bob had intentions of resigning in the first quarter of this year. So with Bob's resignation, depending upon what Judge Clymer and Mayor Bray choose to do, they could make the existing IDA board members the members of the new IDA board as well. So I know there's been some discussion about that, but at the end of the day, it'll be up to Judge Clymer and Mayor Bray to determine that.
With the approval of the fiscal court and commission, of course.
Yes.
So one thing you didn't mention was the website you guys generated, and that was excellent work. And I guess it generates to my next question, and I'm going to pick up the question that I heard often from Brandy Harless, and that is how can we improve our pitching game? And I wonder, I know you've been in the position just a year and you've had to endure a pandemic, but do you have any thoughts on how sometimes it feels like we kind of wait for the phone call and then we respond to the phone call? And I'm certain when you you took over, there were lots of things that had to be done, but have you had any epiphanies on how you can get in the pitching game?
Sure. We, again, not to make excuses, but COVID has certainly had an impact on that. I had signed up to participate in the Kentucky United Site Selector Tour last year. There were 6 or 7 communities that we were supposed to travel to meet with multiple site selectors in each community. Then I was also going to participate with the Kentucky Select USA. It's an international site selector presentation in the month of June. It's in Washington, D.C. with the Kentucky cabinet. So those meetings did not happen last year. I've already reached out to Matt Tackett. He's the president of the Kentucky Association for Economic Development to see about this year. So we're hopeful that those site selector tours will actually pick back up this year going forward. I did have the opportunity to participate in one site selector presentation with KAED and the Kentucky cabinet with Commissioner Jeff Taylor as well. So one of the things that we're doing, we've actually got a lead that I'm going to show you an executive session that came from Beth Land and the site selection group and our interaction with her. Right now, working with a real estate developer on establishing a relationship. She's favorable on our community for new projects here. So our intention is to, you can look at the Site Selectors Guild, where a lot of site selectors are members, and see what their specialty is. You know, depending upon the type of assets that you have available to market, certain site selectors specialize in heavy industrial manufacturing or healthcare, or, you know, whatever field it might be. So those are the things that, you know, that we're going to continue to do and try to get out in front of these site selectors.
I think last month I sent you a letter, had an idea that we'll just buy an ad in New York Times or Wall Street Journal, move to Paducah, and I priced it, and it's really expensive.
Yeah, we've got limited resources and funds, so we're trying to actually target those dollars probably to site selectors. So Heather and I were actually talking last week. We're in the process of reaching out to Marketing Alliance. They're the ones who actually did our website, and look at putting a marketing campaign out that's targeted. Yeah.
It occurred to me after I did that we could do the same thing with a billboard on I-24. We've got this wonderful triple rail site. Maybe it's worth a billboard. I don't know. Just brainstorming. Sorry to.
Yeah, you know, I think Mary Hammond and the CBB, I think they're doing some work with that as far as, you know, placing some ads and different things.
All right. Thank you.
First, we're hearing on a national basis, and it's kind of probably more generic than specific, that a lot of companies that are wanting to move out of California and New York and high tax states. And the one thing they found with COVID, that they can operate from remote locations in rural areas. Is there any movement of any companies that are making those kind of moves, that are wanting to move out of the big tax states and looking for rural areas like we are in West Kentucky?
I'm not aware of any. When you mention that, Commissioner Bartleman, I think about individuals. I know an individual who worked in Washington, D.C., who's recently relocated here to Paducah and working from home. But we are currently working on a project to relocate 100 jobs out of Chicago in the Milwaukee area. And I'll share that with you in an executive session. So, you know, I know there's been discussion and talk at the state level on how do you attract those businesses or those workers who work remotely, you know, and offering incentives to them, because if they're working here, you don't always know that you capture the payroll taxes, occupational taxes associated with them. So, you know, from what I've heard initially, there's interest in providing those types of incentives and attracting those people here. It's just a matter of being able to track them and make sure that they actually do put the jobs actually in Kentucky.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, comments for Mr. Wilcox? All right, sir, we appreciate all that information. Great job.
Thank you, sir. And I'll hold tight until I hear otherwise for executive session.
Okay, hopefully it won't be too long.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, the next on the discussion was COVID vaccine. We just put it on there to sort of bring everyone up to date on that. There's been some back and forth on that. We've gained a little, maybe lost a little, back and forth. So the mayor and I and Steve Doolittle met with the hospital administrators, both hospitals here locally and with Kent Coster, to just see where we are. What we learned was that almost all of the educators will have been vaccinated by Wednesday in McCracken County. The only vaccine that's coming this week appears to be for a second dose. We don't have any information on new vaccine coming in or vaccine coming in for the first dose on folks, either the Moderna or the Pfizer. The Johnson & Johnson, I think, is not out and being distributed yet. The state has advised us to stop ordering vaccines. They're going to send out what they get to where they believe it should go, apparently. And so we had been putting out requests or orders, please, begs, and we are not to be doing that anymore. There's a goal that we presented to Frankfurt. There's a committee in Frankfurt made up of the governor's office, the health department, state health department, transportation cabinet, finance. I think that might be it. That's trying to make these decisions on how Kentucky is going to handle the vaccine issue. Our proposal is that we be provided 3,000 doses per week at 3 locations, 3,000 total, 1,000 at each, roughly. So one of those locations would be Mercy Hospital, one Baptist Hospital, and one to our McCracken County Health Department at a site that has not been chosen just yet, but we're narrowing that down. There was word back some time ago that McCracken County would be a mass vaccination site for the entire purchase region. That got scrapped by, I guess, the committee in Frankfurt maybe a week or so ago. And then there was a word that there would be a mass vaccination site somewhere west of Bowling Green to handle all the folks west of Bowling Green. Looks like maybe that has fallen to the wayside. And so we're trying to develop and get authorized for this 3,000 doses a week at our 3 locations. People are very anxious about this, very concerned, particularly the older folks. It is deadly serious to them, rightly so. And so we're trying our very best to bring the people together that can make local decisions on this and provide to our residents information, if nothing else, try to get lists together, try to give them some form of hope that within a reasonable time, they'll be able to get to a first and then a second dose of the vaccine. And so all I can say really is that we're working. I met with our group as late as just a couple hours ago today. We'll be meeting regularly to see where that's going to land, and we'll just get the information out to people best we can, as quickly as we can.
Thank you, Judge.
Any questions, comments on that?
Appreciate the work you're doing on that, Judge. I know that's pretty frustrating. It changes, as you say, not only by the day, almost changes by the hour at times. And I appreciate the hard work on that. We do need those at least 3 locations in Paducah because I'm on a waiting list like other people over 70. So I hope we can get something done.
Okay. Well, thank you. Well, I think everybody's doing everything that we can. It's frustrating part is that we're used to having some control over things. We're elected to get things done, have some control. In this case, we really don't have any real control. It's more a matter of asking, and I don't mind asking. But I don't have any real leverage either to be able to tell somebody is particularly in my former job, I had a lot of leverage. And say, you do this or I'll do that. And if they didn't do it, then I did my thing. So we just don't have that leverage here. And so it's a serious problem. We're tackling it the best we can, and we'll have some better news as we go along. The governor, I think, is going to give some information on Thursday. We'll be watching that, and I'll be meeting back with a group on Friday to see what we learned, if that will help us to progress, to formulate a better plan and push out some more information to folks. Now, last thing on the discussion was a liquor license fee, a request to waive. We received a letter, I think you gentlemen have it in your packet, from Rolling Hills Country Club, laying out some of the challenges they had due to the COVID, and they've asked us to waive the liquor license fee for this year, for 2021. I think it was due, I believe, or it's due now in January for the next year. And so we'll put it on for discussion, see what your pleasure is.
Steve Doodle, what's our annual revenue from the liquor license fees?
Total is about $9,500.
From Rolling Hills or from all of them?
That'd be all. No. Rolling Hills has, I think, the most expensive license we sell because it's a golf course license, and it's right at $1,100 a year.
I'm going to tell you, I just renewed mine with the state and the city, and neither one charged a fee for anyone who had a license last year. So, I mean, I'm all in favor of this. I think it's a small amount of money that we can give back to the small businesses and help them out as long as they had a liquor license last year.
I would
I
throw
agree. I'm sorry, go ahead.
throw this one thing out. I've got no real strong feelings about it. I agree with what Commissioner Parker just said. I guess 2 things. One is certainly some businesses were hit hard. Some were not. One that probably was not. I think I understand that the liquor stores have been doing quite well. People are supporting their liquor stores, and that's how we want to put it, with a passion. recently. That's one thing. If we waive the liquor store license fees, and they have not, been negatively impacted, but in fact have done even better. That's some concern. The other is we do it for this group. Certainly there are other groups, and perhaps will be asked to waive fees or provide some consideration for other groups as well. But just throw those things out to be in the mix.
I guess that's one of the things that was missing information. I feel like anyone who comes before us, whether it be in the terms of asking for money or asking for waiver of money, the first thing that they ought to have to fill out is how much money is in their bank account. And I presume that their financial situation is worse than it was a year ago, but I don't have any information to base that on other than speculation. And it's not a lot of money. It's not a lot of money, but there's an image issue that concerns me a little bit.
I think that I'm close enough to Rolling Hills. I don't have their financials in front of me, but I know that they've been hit really hard with it because they can't keep their bar open, and I know they serve a little bit of food. And I may have to agree with the judge. If liquor stores are making money, we can omit them, but I can assure you that the bars and the restaurants, what few we have in this county, are kind of like my business. We've been devastated. So I really don't want to see us put this off. I think it's the right thing to do, especially with the city and the state already making this move.
Steve, is that $9,500? Is that just restaurant or liquor by the drink, or does that include package stores too?
That's everything, including the $50 license to sell beer at a convenience store. I did review the quick look at the city's ordinance they adopted, and theirs is not pointed at all licenses, just the ones that were affected by closures. So it appears to be heavy towards bars and restaurants and breweries, and not liquor stores that were open the entire time.
Well, wouldn't we need to do this in an ordinance, or
Yes, I think we levy the fee by ordinance. It would, I think, require a ordinance to undo the fee. And at this point, since I'm signing licenses every day, we'd be in if you wish to do it, we would be not in so much as a waiver, but probably in a refund mode.
Have we gotten any other letters or just this one?
I've just received the one.
Can we divide it up and just do liquor by the drink establishments? How hard would that be? We don't have many of those in the county, do we? Outside the city.
We have two types of liquor by the drink. We have the folks that have a restaurant, their license is vis-a-vis food sales, and the other one is just the straight up classic bar. There is no food sales. It's just a quoted bar license.
So we could do an ordinance that basically does a moratorium on the fee as opposed to waiver. I mean, I guess I want to treat everybody the same if we do anything. And I don't know. Jeff, I'm not opposed to the idea. I just don't feel like I've got enough information in front of me to make a decision that is fair to everybody.
How many places is there, Steve? How many bars and restaurants do we have in McCracken County? Not counting liquor stores.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Can't be many.
I would say 7.
7. So we're talking about 7 businesses, we can help. I mean, I'm good with putting it off, and if they come to you for their license, just tell them to hold off. We're not gonna come out and shut them down until we get this the way we want it.
Steve, can you
Well,
tell them, you're looking at there, what's the revenue from those 7?
It's perhaps half of the entire 9,500.
What's the deadline on, are we past the deadline?
Yeah, we're close to the deadline, the end of the month. So they're starting to come in at this point. So that's why I said if you want to take any action and we do that by ordinance, we'll be in a refund mode.
But it's only seven people to refund.
Yeah, roughly. It's not many.
Is $1,100 going to make or break the rolling hills? Not make or break them? That doesn't seem like a whole lot of money.
Really have any way of knowing that. But it was the bars and restaurants that had the licenses where they didn't sell. It's obvious to me I talked to enough of them during the year that were aggravated with the situation that they were heavily impacted by it.
The license based on capacity? Or is it a flat fee?
Flat.
So if Rolling Hills pays $1,100, the other 6 or 7 also pay $1,100?
No, theirs is the single most expensive license. The golf course license is the most expensive one. The typical bar restaurant place is around $800.
Yeah, I guess I don't understand how it's flat. So you mean that's the type?
Yes. So you buy, depending on your situation in our ordinance, there's these different license types. There's a whole series of them that are articulated, and then based on what it is you're trying to do and where you're located, as to what kind of license you can get. So not everyone can come in and say, I want to be a bar, sell me a bar license. We can't do that. So the most, common thing we get is, the convenience store non-quota beer license. That's a common one.
Other than Rolling Hills, have these other establishments benefited from the CARES funding? Do you know?
We would have no way of knowing that either.
Well, what about this idea? Well, if we of course, can't do anything tonight. We don't have ordinance drawn up or anything, but we could put it off to the next meeting. We can draw up a sort of a skeleton ordinance, leave a couple of blanks in it to waive or reimburse liquor licenses to the following license types or whatever they're called. And then we can decide if we want to fill that in with all of them, or if we want to scrap the idea completely. And that'll give the businesses time to, we're hearing that we've not heard any financials from anybody, including Rolling Hills. They do in their letter give some factual statements here that I suspect are correct and probably did impact them significantly. But that'll give those who hear about it at least the opportunity to respond, and then we can take whatever action we think's appropriate.
Can we just have the Steve make a recommendation to us whether we should or we shouldn't, and who we should? Would that be hard to do? He can do some research and find out who might really need it and who doesn't need it, and come back with a recommendation, then we act on it. Can you do that, Steve?
No, I'm really not comfortable quizzing these private organizations about their finances.
Okay.
We don't require that information, as part of their application, and it would be inappropriate for me to go into their tax records and use that information to decide this one gets the waiver, this one doesn't.
So our options could be, based on what you've told us tonight, it could be we could waive the fee for golf courses, we waive the fee for bars, or we could waive the fee for everybody. Is that the three classes?
No, there's restaurants, there's bars, and then there's the one golf course license. And those were the ones that I think are obviously were impacted by governor orders to either reduce capacity or be closed for periods of time.
So
Opposed to some of the other licenses there were no closures or restrictions in their business. That's obvious to me.
So
I would like to see a new bars, restaurants, and golf courses. That'd cover 4 or 5 people, right? 7 people or 7
Yeah.
businesses. I mean, and I'm not saying, and I have to agree, $1,100, does it make or break them? No, but it might pay their 2 or 3 bartenders' salary for 2 or 3 weeks and keep them from laying them off. So I think it's a lot further reaching than just $1,100. So
I get it, and I think I can get there. We got to get there in the right way. And I think the right way sounds like doing some sort of moratorium. We decide we're going to waive the fee for 2021. I don't have to take some action so that I don't have to reinstate the fee for 2022. This will be a 1-year gig unless the pandemic lasts longer.
Yeah, that's how the city's ordinance is directed, just at a 1-year period.
I would be good with that.
We'll bring it back up then next meeting.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Let's also consider, Steve, when you put something together, that maybe we give them a 50% reduction, or again, it's not a lot of money, but they still have to have some skin in the game, but we'll just have to see what you come up with. And
One thing I want to make sure everybody understands, I do not have a county liquor license with my business, and I've never had one. So I'm strictly a city business license and a city liquor license. So I'm not fighting for anything personal here.
Okay, good.
Good.
We'll just put it on the agenda, and Steve and I can be discussing it, see maybe we can have some more information before then. At court orders.
It is ordered that the McCracken County Clerk's Office 2020 budget is being changed by the following amendments. Page 5, line 71, payments to county treasurer. Original budget amount, $2,023,165.50. Amendment, $134,965.43. Amended budget amount, $2,158,130.93.
So made.
second,
Any discussion?
That sounds like good news, right?
Looks good to me.
It's to the positive.
Okay. All right, all in favor, aye. Opposed, no. That carries. Ordinances.
It is ordered to amend proposed ordinance number 2021-1, as well as the second reading of said ordinance to reflect section 1 includes alphabetical item O entitled cell phone policy.
So made.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor, aye. Opposed, no. That carries.
It is hereby ordered that pursuant to KRS Chapter 67, the second reading and adoption of ordinance number 2021-1 shall be conducted in summary format as follows. An ordinance amending the McCracken County Administrative Code by making changes pertaining to provisions in Chapter 5, Policies and Procedures. The action taken by the present ordinance amends ordinance number 2016-8, which was previously amended in ordinance number 2017-4, ordinance number 2019-5, ordinance number 2019-12, ordinance 2020-3 and by ordinance 2020-13. The sections amended are as follows: pay period, work week and work days, timekeeping, overtime pay and compensatory leave time, break and lunch period privileges, leave request process, vacation, holidays, personal days, inclement weather, sick leave sharing program, non-accumulated time off and leave of absence, military leave, and includes a cell phone policy. It is hereby certified by the McCracken County Fiscal Court that the present summary represents an accurate official statement of the main points of and contents of ordinance number 2021-1. Excuse me. A true and correct copy of ordinance number 2021-1 shall be made available for public inspection in its whole and complete form by the McCracken County Judge Executive's Office. Any person desiring to inspect ordinance number 2021-1 shall contact the McCracken County Judge Executive's Office via telephone at 270-444-4707 to make arrangements for the transmission or delivery of same.
So made.
Any discussion? No discussion? All in
Was
favor?
there a second?
I second it.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That carries. Resolution.
It is ordered that a resolution is hereby adopted and enacted, with such resolution being necessary to set forth the written determinations of this court with regard to the disposition of certain surplus county-owned tangible property described as a 2011 Dodge Charger, vehicle identification number 2B3CL1CT9BH582146. Pursuant to KRS 67.0802 sub 4 sub C, the vehicle will be sold by electronic auction on govdeals.com. This vehicle was acquired by the coroner's office approximately 2 years ago and has recently experienced catastrophic engine failure and cannot remain in service. The vehicle has approximately 94 to 95,000 miles. Said resolution expressly authorizes the judge executive to execute all documents necessary to effectuate transfer of said vehicle.
So made.
Second.
Jones, second. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That carries. Now we're down to executive session. I think, are we, I know we got Mr. Wilcox to talk with us in executive session. We've got one other concerning specific plan purchase. Are we going, Steve, to take some action when we come out on the land purchase or not?
I think it's possible, if not likely, even though we haven't written anything, we could get that done this evening, Judge. It's fairly straightforward.
Yeah, well, as I was asking the question, I think I was forming the answer as well. I think we need to go ahead and pull the trigger on that.
So if we could ask Vicky to hold over, we'll put you in the waiting room, Vicky, on Zoom, and we'll just discuss that item, and we'll come back out and possibly take some more action.
Okay,
Okay.
but if you're interested, Judge, that we could do that one, come back. We could go in executive session twice, just so Vicky doesn't have to stay, but we'll see how easy it is.
That ought to be pretty easy.
I think I can make my vote right now, but we'll do executive.
And so need a motion to go into executive session to discuss future sale or acquisition of a specific parcel of real estate is permitted by KRS 61.810(1)B. I think that's it.
So made.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Jones. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That carries. And I think we'd like to be prepared after we'll come back out, and take action after our executive session. And let's put Bruce in first, and he might have something he'd rather to do than sit here and talk to us, maybe. So we'll need, let's take, we need a couple minutes. Let's take about 5 minutes for a recess while we get off the air, and see you back in 5 at 6:11.